right, this match for you comes to us for Versanus, who has 2k hours in the game of Debbie Delightus. So you're about at that double that area that I expect most people to have their fundamentals down. So around 1,000 hours, you should be able to have like relatively short chases, be able to macro pressure the map, that sort of thing. So you have double that. So that should not be a problem for you. You're playing the Xenomorph, the Gazebo-morph, which is best person to ask for that. Number 5 worldwide, number 1 NA, wrote the title, wonderful stuff. In terms of the strength of the character, they are a, B tier for most people, B plus if you really take them to their limit. The thing that kind of holds them down is the double turret setups, which will always kind of keep them below A, but they'll be at like kind of like the top of B if you get like the most out of them. They used to be kind of in between A and B, but like a lot of like progressive changes and bugs they've obtained has kind of like hold them down quite a bit, which is unfortunate. The good thing that is fortunate is you're on Larry's, which is a fairly good Xenomorph map. There's a lot of collision to bonk your tail off of, but there's a lot of amazing and really, really fun shots that you can get on this map that weave in and around the loops. So it's pretty devastating once you get used to playing this map on Xenomorph. So let's take a look at your add-ons and your pokes. Okay, so you're running Self-Destruct Bolt and Semiotic Keyboard. Self-Destruct Bolt increases your vault speed in crawler mode by 30%, which is pretty cool. And a Semiotic Keyboard is kind of like the advanced version of Seal Rations, where there's a turret placed near a gen. You get to see the intensity of the gen's progress as an aura, kind of like the Wraith add-on that's very similar. These add-ons are fine. You are rocking no anti-turret add-ons, so that just means you have to be far more proactive about dealing with the turrets, which is not a bad thing, but you just, will have to play in kind of like a different play style where you're far more aggressive about taking turrets down. So just, keep that in mind. Otherwise, this is fine. Your build, you're running Deadman's, Pop goes the Weasel, Genetic Limits, and Forever Entwined. Forever Entwined, good quality of life build, or quality of life perk. Nothing bad to say about that. Deadman's one of the best perks you can run on Xenomorph because you can force value by popping up on somebody out of a control station and forcing them to let go. And then you have Pop Goes the Weasel, which is also a good perk on Xeno. These two kind of have a little bit of anti-synergy though, because if you pop up on somebody that has a lot of gen progress, and then you force them off, then the gen's going to be blocked, meaning you can't kick it. So there's going to be a lot of situations with this combo in particular where you're like going for going to stop a gen from nearly finishing, and instead of being able to pop, you're just going to force Deadman's. And vice versa. It creates kind of an anti-synergy situation. So they're not so amazing together. So that might present some issues. Genetic Limits is not a bad pick on Xenomorph, but it's not. It's just outclassed by other exhaustion perk picks. Like, don't get me wrong, Genetic Limits is still like an A tier pick on Xeno. That's totally fine. But it's outclassed by like Languid Touch, Mindbreaker, like the other exhaustion options. So if you want to really optimize, you should theoretically run one of those two over this one, but it's not like a bad pick. It's just like slightly suboptimal. So yeah. If it needs to be louder, let me know as well. Yes, it is. Is this you, Kelly? Or is this? Is this just so happen to be running the exact same add-on combo, which is interesting. Yeah, you kind of lose this person here, which is unfortunate. You can hear her there. You walk right by her. No, it's not. That's really weird then. What a coinkydink. Yeah, you actually hear her breathing here, but you don't. Yeah, you hear her. She's crouched right there, probably. That's really sad. If you're in a situation like this on Xeno, especially if you pop out of a control station and you get like 2 of the Killer Instinct heartbeats and then you just don't find them, you shouldn't be doing this thing here where you're like kind of just like wandering around hoping that you stumble into them. You should just go back into the control station and then use either the footstep or sound reading or the Killer Instinct when you come back out to find them. You shouldn't just be kind of like wandering around praying that they pop up. Because if the whole thing is like they're being stealthy, they're going to continue to be stealthy. They're not going to like just reveal themselves for no reason. You see the info on Semiotic keyboard. Yeah, wait a minute. So you just like, once again, you don't know where anybody is, and then you hop into your tunnels, which is good because semiotic keyboard is telling you where the survivors are. While you're in here, you can see this gen has progress with a turret next to it, and this gen back here has a progress with the turret next to it. But for some reason, you just pop out at this random control station for like no reason. And that's just really puzzling to me because you have info on not one, but where two different survivors are for sure. But you decide to just check a random control station instead? I don't know why you do that. Very bizarre to me. Keyboard's good. You just have to like play. It has a very specific play style that makes it good, so it's kind of hard sometimes to get value out of it. But if you like something like Cereal Rations, which is the brown add-on, this is just like the better version of it. Yeah, they pre-ran you a little bit, but at least you know where they are. Okay, once again, you look directly at a person and you don't chase them. Your tracking needs some work. You should not be a minute and a half into the game having been around multiple survivors and not even one center to chase. I can't really quite tell you like what exactly is causing that. Like, are your headphones down? Are you looking away from the screen a lot? Like, it's one of those weird times where it's like, I don't know if there's something external affecting this because it seems your awareness is just like not there. Like, you should not be bypassing this many survivors without starting a chase. You should have been able to break that. This is rough. Very, very rough. Okay, she agrees to that. At least it took you almost 2 minutes to start a chase, despite the fact that you run into 3 different survivors. That should not be happening. And I'm not saying this to like be like, you're so terrible and I hate you, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's a match review, so I'm going to tell you what you're doing wrong. You should not be 2 minutes deep into a match when you've run into 3 people and starting your first chase. Like, you were very behind. Hi, Varu. How's it going, friend? How are you? Very good job. Did that perfectly. It's going to be hard for you to come back from that. Because you essentially give them 2 minutes of, like, free pressure. They immediately let go of that. Why are you going into your tunnel here? You're looking dead at somebody. Okay, I don't know. Okay, I don't know if there's external features. Hopefully you can fill me in on that. But it seems like you're so like, okay, then I go here and then I do this and then I go here and then I do this and then I go here and then I do this. Like, you're missing people directly in front of you. And this is like the 4th time in a 2.5 minute period where there's been somebody right in front of you and you have not engaged with them. Like, that's not good. You shouldn't be seeing people directly in front of you, getting killer instinct on them and just blowing past them. You gotta pay attention. Slow down. And I'm sure you'll take in a lot more of this information. Like I said, it could be outside stuff. It could be like you're playing like on this TV speaker so you can't hear, or you keep looking away from your screen, but like you're missing extremely obvious stuff extremely frequently. And that's not good. Thankfully you get up here where you can get a pop on this. Very good value pop because I was nearly done. So even with proportional damage, that did a lot. A good shot. Okay. Keep your DMS pop going. Okay, good job remembering this had progress. This is a good pop. Once again, like, you just, like, there's that person who just ran to your left, right in front of you. Are you, like, legitimately not seeing this? Like, I know you can't answer because it doesn't seem like you're actually here, you're actively here, but, like, you just, like, are you, like, legitimately not catching this stuff? Like, you're looking directly at people and not going after them. I don't know. It's so weird. Call out Brian, Forever Entwined, DMS, Furtive. Is that a good build on Xeno? It's kind of all over the place. Like, Forever Entwined, good quality of life. Furtive by itself is a little... Like, without a build around that, like, you're not going to get value out of the undetectable because of the motion turrets, at least, or the motion sensors in the turrets, at least not, like, consistently. So without a build around that, it may not be that helpful. DMS, one of their best perks. Call of Brian's interesting for the same reason that, like, we pointed out at the beginning of this match review, that, like, DMS and Pop might conflict a little bit, because DMS wraps the gen, meaning you can't kick it. So you're kind of, like, blocking the value of one of your perks. Yeah, I don't know. You need to, like... The meme thing to say here is you need to lock in. But, like, you know, unironically, like, you are missing very obvious survivors all around you. And it's costing you big time. But DMS, dead man switch. You could have hit that. It would have been close. You might have missed it, but I think you could. Yeah, you can hit over these, but, like, yeah, the chair will block you sometimes. Gotta be careful about that chair. Okay, we've spent a lot of time in this chase so far. Ooh. Dumb. Good call out on her lurking there. She figures that was that. I think the survivors are starting to get a little lazy. I think they realize that they're in a good spot, because you had like 2 minutes of they had 2 minutes of non-stop pressure. So I think they're kind of like throwing for saves and stuff. Good shot. Nurses or Strider? Not really. Strider is not a very helpful perk on Xenomorph. And nurses, people heal so fast these days, unless you're running like a full anti-heal build, your like nurses isn't going to help you too much. That's one of the things that I think like kind of suffers with like killer perk, you know, variety right now. It's like, it feels like you got to run like builds dedicated to things to get any, like a lot of your perks to work. Just because usually the survivor counter is so like good that like you can't run perks just by themselves. Here, when you're running no anti-turret add-ons, you cannot afford to do this with flame turrets, where like you get a little bit of flame charges and then try to break it with the lunge. Because look, you're already a fourth of the way through losing your power down here at the bottom left. When I say that like the Xenomorph quality of life change that came through, instead of the big nerf, made it to where you can lunge and break turrets without losing your power, I mean from zero. Like, you have 0 charges. That's what I mean. And it is so close that even if you had like even like maybe like an eighth of this already up, you probably can't do it anymore. So you shouldn't be going for lunges without anti-turret add-ons with any sort of flame charges. So this was greedy. Hi, Master. Good to see you, friend. Hopefully your Monday's treating you well. Night, Moon. Hope you rest well, friend. At the very least, what you should do in that situation in the future is when you get those flame charges and you know you're not running anti-turret add-ons, is accumulate some of the flame charges and then come around the corner and tail attack it so it'll pop you quicker. You will lose some distance because of the movement speed penalty, but like it's better than losing your power. If the anti-heal build is still viable, I'm not sure. It'd be worth testing. I've heard people go back to that video and say it's still fine, but I haven't tested it since. Affected by ramps or stairs? No. The issue is a general issue that Xenomorph has in general, Pearl. That like, because of the sensitivity of the tail attack, if you aim low on any survivor, you're often just going to hit the ground below them, just because of the way the tail attack works with collision. That's why I recommend people to aim like, you know, center mass. Aim at like the chest, head, torso area, you know. So when you're aiming down like some stairs, obviously, you know, it's a lot easier to collide with the stairs. But is there something specifically wrong with them? No, not technically. It's just how the power works. Oh, you got the bug there. That sucks. Is it smoke? That's interesting, because I've been seeing a lot of people run it and not mention that. Who discovered that? Yeah, so you don't even need a tail attack here. You just get that regardless. Hi, Pickle. How's it going, friend? I'm doing okay. Just doing some matcheries. Oh, Toothy found it. Ah, I see. Bro, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that, friend. Yeah, with your question specific, it's just about, like, trying to aim at the upper part of the body and not the lower. Oh, obviously that's far harder on a staircase. So, that's what you're experiencing. Huntress and Deathslinger to be 100? Nice. We were playing a Slinger game earlier today. Anyway, very well. They're kind of throwing. They're throwing in the late game. It was their game to throw, and they're definitely throwing it. I think there's a lot of characters in the game, Smo, that aiming lower is better. Pinhead's a perfect example. If you aim lower as Pinhead, you recover quicker. So it just, like, makes sense. But Xenomorph is the opposite. Yeah, Unknown's another one, yeah. P70 from P41, nice. You're grinding through that. There you go, see? If you don't have any charges you know, accumulated, you can definitely do that. Yeah, this game they had in the bag, and they just kind of like threw. Like, it was realistically Ada. No offense to the player. She just kept going for very risky like saves and hovering everything instead of helping the team. Which, you know, didn't help in the long run. Yeah. That is, with the bookshelf sticking out like that, I don't think there's really a chance you're gonna hit that. Just kind of how it goes. Good shot. At this point, it's just kind of hanging around. I wouldn't even kind of, like myself, I wouldn't go too far from luck, to be honest. Yeah, unfortunately, there were two turrets here. That's a good, like, that's, if you're doing, like, quote-unquote double turret subs, you should do more like that, where they're more spaced out. Because if they're more spaced out like that, then you can't just strafe it at both. That was well done on their end. Yeah, Xeno has something similar, Pickle, right now, where, like, a lot of your shots that you try to shoot over objects will just hit an air above them. Like, it will reject them as well, and it's just really weird. Alright. Alright, so, there's some meaty stuff in that Survivor group, like the Rebecca with the full Gen Rush build, but realistically, the things that happened in this match were your fault, which is fine. It's not a bad thing. It means there's a lot to learn from and things you can improve from, which is great. Your first main takeaway, and the one that's like the most seriously, or the most like seriously needs attention, like right away, is that you need to work on whatever is causing you to miss people right in front of you. You had 4 or 5 instances in this game where somebody was either on killer instinct or literally walking directly in front of you that for some reason you just miss. I don't know why that's happening. I don't know if like you're checking your phone mid-game, you're looking at another screen, you're playing on speakers instead of headphones. Like there's a lot of things that could go into that, but you're missing very obvious things in and around you. And whatever reason that is happening, you need to fix that, because like I said, they had almost a 2-minute head start on you because you didn't start your first chase until it was like 1:54. Like you didn't start your first chase for almost 2 minutes into this match, which is not good. There should not be a situation in DBD where like in a match in DBD where you're not starting your first chase for 2 whole minutes. So you gotta pay attention. You gotta pay attention. Gotta lock in. In terms of your second takeaway, in terms of your flame turrets, like I mentioned in the middle of this match, you lost your power quite a few times because you were trying to like lunge at a turret when you already had flame charges accumulated. When I say you can lunge and break turrets without anti-turret add-ons, what I mean is from 0, meaning you have 0 charges accumulated. So if that's not your situation and you've already accumulated some flame charges, you should definitely go for a tail attack there over going for the lunge. If you go for the lunge, you're just gonna lose your power like you did. It's far more worth getting the movement speed penalty by breaking it with the tail and keeping your power than it is attempting to lunge and losing your power overall. And I think my last main takeaway is there was a lot of downtime in this match. You spent kind of just like wandering around trying to find people, which when you are Xenomorph, who has one of the best base kit info kits in the game, you shouldn't really be just kind of like wandering around looking for people. If you're ever confused where people are, you should be inside the tunnels using the 16 meters of footstep reading, sound reading, or killer instinct from exiting a control station to find people. And especially with this match, you have semiotic keyboard, which was actively telling you where people were by gen intensity, by showing you where turrets were placed. And you were actively like ignoring that information for some reason. And that also confused me. But like, if you're having issues paying attention to like survivors in front of you, I imagine paying attention to the info is, for whatever similar reason that is caused by, is also an issue. So try to take advantage of Xenomorph's info, whether it be from the add-on or from the base kit, because you weren't, and it led to a lot of downtime. And match time is gen time.